7-9, not to 24-7, that are not enough time. Put in overtime, me I forget mine. Never thief, nobody, me mother say feel low crime. Cause life is hard, have to work hard. The money now make it to just sit down in a yard and I cry time hard. Have to grind hard, jump in our studio, I rhyme hard.
Good evening, viewers of Unfinished Business. Welcome back to another spanking brand new episode featuring my good brother, Maestro, Mr. Glen Enriquez, and with co-host as usual, Brother Rashida Azu, Mr.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Yes, sir.
How things, man? How things with you?
Well, sir, life good. I feel good. I'm in the presence of greatness, of great men.
All right.
So everything good, you know.
Mr. Glen,
yes, sir.
I want you to reintroduce yourself.
Yeah.
Please tell the people that. Please tell the viewers of Unfinished Business a little bit about yourself and what you do in this community.
All right. Good day, gentlemen. Good day.
Good evening again,
Before
sir.
I even introduce myself, though, I must say that I'm quite honored, and at the same time,
Yes, sir.
as a lecturer for both of you gentlemen at UB, I must say I'm very proud. And this is the most fulfilling experience that a lecturer could have, to see his students aspire to greatness the way they said they would in class.
Yes,
So I'd
sir.
like to share that with you before I even start. So,
Yes, sir.
gentlemen, keep up the good job.
Thank you,
are
sir.
inspiring more people than you know. So
Thank you,
keep it
sir.
up, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, introducing myself, where should I start? First off, let's look at where I presently work. I'm a lecturer at the University of Belize, Toledo campus. I'm a lecturer in the Faculty of Management and Social Sciences. I deliver courses at both the associate and bachelor levels. So I have met so many students during my time. I've been in the profession 20 years, 10 years as a high school teacher at Palma Comprehensive, and another 10 years here at UB Toledo. So I would like to share that my background is well-rounded, and that I have met different community groups from the Cayo district as well as the Toledo district. We'll get into that a little bit later. I've been working recently with some community groups, particularly youth groups and groups with particularly at-risk youth. What I'm looking at is that in this time, what COVID has taught us is that we need to become self-sufficient. And food security is a must. If we can't feed ourselves, and then we're at the mercy of the world, and I saw this with the pandemic, and I'm mobilizing groups right now so that they can take advantage of grant opportunities that are available, so that they can get access to much needed resources to produce for themselves and their families. I believe as a people it is time for us to become more independent and not to depend too much on the powers that be or any external entities. As long as we get on our feet, we should be able to take care of ourselves. So I have put together a team of qualified, versatile professionals from different backgrounds: education, agriculture, business, natural resource management, and all these professionals sit at the table and discuss projects that would benefit our people in the South. So that is going on as we speak. Now, Mr. Azu, I know you mentioned earlier that you wanted to know more about the projects that are happening on the ground.
Yes, sir.
And for the viewers out there, there is an ongoing project right now which is being coordinated by the GEF SGP, that's the Global Environmental Facility Small Grants Program. They are now giving community groups grants, groups that qualify grants, so that they can start projects that could help them and their communities to become more independent. Their main focal areas you're looking at right now is food security, of course, sustainable agriculture being one of the main pillars in our economy, which I believe is the direction we need to go moving forward.
Okay.
So these are some of the things that I've been working on over the last couple of months during this COVID pandemic, trying to get our people mobilized so we can capitalize on opportunities that exist.
Yes, sir. If you don't mind, I interject, Mr. Tariq.
I was just about to ask your input.
If sir, before you even get to that and the projects, I hope the youths understand how blessed they are to be in this position, to have someone looking out for them and who want to encourage them to be more independent.
That's right.
First thing,
Yes, thank
be
you.
grateful for the opportunity that you are being given, and there's someone above who loves you and who wants good for you, and you're helping with that. That aside, that being said, I want to see how grateful I am of the input you've had in terms of my development, as well as Mr. Tariq, because I can honestly say this: Mr. Enriquez was probably tired of seeing me in his office. Whenever I had a question, whenever I had a query, whenever I have anything to go on, because I've always been someone who's inquisitive. Maybe not inquisitive towards the right things, but you best believe there's questions to be asked. You know what I mean? And my teammates and people know that about me. So I want to say thank you for that, for always having the open door policy for people who are who have questions and who want to develop themselves. You know, and programs like these, you've always made an opportunity for youths who want to find their greatness, no? And like a perfect example would be when the Battle of the Drums, they had an event. This was some years ago, I think 2015. The event was held at Social Security, and you had invited a couple youths to say, you know what, these youths have something that, with the right encouragement, could impact a lot of people. And we were invited that night, and we were again in the presence of great people and of people of affluence and people who knew a lot of things, and that little do we know had a lot of effect and helped us, you know. So again, I also wanted to say thanks for that, and again, thanks for putting us on to these new projects you have in the pipeline, no? So
My
yes,
pleasure.
sir.
My
Yes,
pleasure.
sir.
Yes, Mr. Arzu, I enjoyed that interjection, and something that I really respect about it was the fact that you mentioned Mr. Glen has something to do with the Battle of the Drums.
Yes.
Yeah.
And knowing that 19th of November, right around the corner, it's only right that we ask Mr. Glen, what capacity do you serve at the Battle of the Drums?
Okay. All right. Normally, my capacity, I serve as the coordinator for the youth arm of the Battle of the Drums. We want to have this something that will be carried on for generations to come. And the only way this could happen is if we empower the youth to take over, and they will be the ones at the helm 10 years, 20 years from now.
Yes, sir.
So the senior members of the Secretariat, they're already looking for young Garifuna youth who are willing to take this challenge to continue our cultural preservation activities. And that's why the youth arm is such an integral part of what we do.
Yes, sir.
So that's my main role right now. Unfortunately, this year, due to the pandemic, we had to go virtual with our activities.
Yes,
So
sir.
we will still have the competition, only this time it will be more in a virtual format. And what will happen is actually we decided not to do a competition, but to just have all the communities showcase their talent. All the participating communities showcase their talent.
I like that.
And then the audience, the viewers will choose their favorite, and what we normally do, like what we do at the big show, right?
Okay.
So people will choose their favorite groups, their favorite Jankono dancers, their favorite Tumba dancers, etc. So the audience will choose from home who they want as their main group. We also have the Garifuna Musical Festival, which will entail performances from artists countrywide, and this will be from Dangriga, Belicity, Punta Gorda. We'll have artists who will be performing. So this is something that we're looking forward to as well. In all the different genres, Paranda, Hungu Hungu, Punta, you have Jankono, we'll have all of that. Wanaragua, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Right? So we'll have all these things that will happen on the night, what would have been the night of the actual Battle of the Drums.
But virtually.
That is the Saturday before the 19th of November. That's when we usually have our show. Correct. That's
Okay,
right,
okay.
That's right. So that's what we will do this time around. And each group will get, they will get actual prizes for participation. So everybody will get something out of this activity that we have planned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that. I like that. Sir.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, you know, we are unfinished business. We're all about the business, so have to ensure that we
By all means.
sponsors in check. We
Yes.
have to
You
ensure
know.
that we push our true advertisements to the viewers. So
Yes,
with
sir.
that said, I like you know to stay tuned in,
Yeah.
and we will be right back with you after these messages. I'm your host, Mr. Perez, Mr. Arzu.
As always, a pleasure.
All right.
Stay on the grind, 27/9, not to 24/7. That not enough time. Put in overtime. Me I forget mine. Never thief nobody. Me mother say feel no crime. Cause life is hard. Have to work hard. The money now make it to just sit down in a yard and I cry time hard. Have to grind hard. Jump in our studio. I rhyme hard.
viewers of Unfinished Business, welcome back to another segment featuring my good friend and my teacher, somebody I truly respect, Mr. Glen Enriquez. I'm about for a way back. You don't know this young man, me and he featuring a big song together.
You know, doing big things, big things.
Big things. Way back.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rashid, any question before I dive into deeper topics with Mr. Glen?
Okay, well, sir, before we went for the break, you know, you had mentioned the Battle of the Drums and what you guys are doing now to adapt to COVID, no? And in our respects, it's seen as an entrepreneurial venture and also a passion project because Mr. Darius is someone who is very adamant about the Garifuna culture, spreading it in the right direction and all that. So I wanted, big up Mr. D, I wanted to get your views on what on how you view entrepreneurship and the necessary steps one needs to take in order to adapt to COVID and what is going on and being more independent, as you had also mentioned before the break, no?
Yes. Getting back to entrepreneurship, you guys know this from you were attending UD. That has been one of the main things I've been preaching, right? We need to become more independent.
Yes, sir.
We need to become more self-sufficient as a people.
Yes, sir.
The problem has been, we have several issues why this has not taken off. One is that mentality. There is this apparent fear of failure that exists among young people, and not only young people, but also entrepreneurs out there already. So that fear of failure has paralyzed a lot of people, and they are not taking action when the resources are all around them to capitalize. So the mindset has been an issue, more so than the lack of quote-unquote opportunities. So it will take some time for us to actually impress upon our people that it's possible. We can look at the other groups, the other ethnic groups, and see what they have done, the other ethnicities, and see what they've done. We have examples around us, but we are not looking and learning from them. We are busy trying to do this 9 to 5, and then we shirk the responsibility of doing more. We are very talented people. People from the South have always been very talented. And resilient.
Yes, sir.
And what I've learned moving from Palma to Punta Gorda, I've seen where creativity had to happen here because the opportunities in terms of what government had in terms of support, etc., it's not as forthcoming as if you're living in the capital. So that's just the reality. So the people would have to then look at themselves and say, oh, no, what? We shouldn't be depending on any handouts. Why don't we get together and mobilize as a people? And that's what I keep telling my students at UB. Let's not look for a degree so that we can go and work for somebody and make somebody else rich. You have all the knowledge, you have all the talent to make yourselves well off. So the whole system, the whole mindset needs to change. So unfortunately what has happened is that students who come out with an associate's degree or bachelor's degree, they tend to still look for somebody to work for, make somebody else's dream come true, when they have everything in terms of the capacity to make their own dreams come true. So I challenge my students all the time, and now I'm seeing where some of them have actually taken that leap of faith. And now I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing out there. So a couple have done it and they're doing very well, and I applaud them and I tell them to keep going. They will meet some challenges, of course, that's a part of life. But I also know that if they stay the course, they will be inspiring other students. So for those students who have ventured out and have become successful, I use them as examples to my students and say, oh, see, he did it or she did it. They didn't have much to start with, but look where they are now. And that is very inspirational. So I keep using local examples where students can look and say, you know what, I must could do it. That person was in my class, or that person was a couple years ahead of me in school, and look what he or she is doing out there now. I even bring them in to do presentations and to actually, you remember this, right? I used to bring my former students in to do presentations, to say how they made it, what they had to do, what were some of the challenges,
I was one of those students extremely recently.
So
that's what I do.
I understand, sir. It's something good.
That's why I'm telling you guys right now, you're inspiring more people than you know.
Yes, sir.
Because people look at this show, people will view this show, and they will say, wow, look at what these guys are doing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. So I'm trying to set up a situation where I am empowering future leaders, because that's what we need. We have to have that leadership mindset. For too long, we have been followers. Everybody wants to follow the next one, right? You see somebody set up something, you go and set up the same thing, while you have talent to do your own. True. So that's what I'm promoting at UB.
Yeah, to do your own.
Yes, I know it's a challenge because the mindset has been entrenched in the way we think, right?
Yes,
but
sir.
I believe that with enough good examples out there like you gentlemen, Mr. Palma, and we also have our friend Mr. Jalilino. You guys actually are examples, and you are inspiring more people than you know. And I keep saying that, right? Because you have young men coming up who are looking at us. And then if they see that we are capable and we look just like them, they believe that the day will come when they'll be able to do what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And take it to a whole next level, because what we're doing, we're putting the foundation together.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Well said, Mr. Glen. Just now you mentioned the word students and UB. So with that, I most definitely must congratulate all the graduates of yesterday's graduation ceremony. It was held virtually, of course, you understand, due to these very COVID times, quote-unquote COVID times. Notice how I use the word, right? As an adjective used to describe the times. But no, anyway. It's not ever become a jargon that we use, I suppose, to
trademark it immediately.
Definitely.
Secure yourself, Mr.
Unfinished business to get exclusives.
Yes, creative people again, creative people.
Mr. Glen, I don't want to continue because just now you mentioned the fact that you want to see more people independent and more entrepreneurs. Myself, it has been very fortunate to be working for the government of Belize for the past 5 years. However, I still feel the need to be independent enough to team up with Backplay Studios, large up Backplay Studios, large up my ballet, Jalilino, YADLIT, our entity we power with me to talk about for years, and we get it off the ground, and this is our YADLIT initiative.
Yes, excellent.
So, explain to the viewers of not only Punta Gorda, but the viewers across the length and breadth of this country, because I noticed that the NGO community has been becoming very slim. Explain to the viewers, especially the myriad of graduates. Last night, 1,100 plus people graduated. What can those people do in order to not only find themselves in our office, but where can they seek funding, and what start would you recommend for them?
Okay, very good question. We have several international donor agencies, we call them, like the United Nations Development Program, the GFSGP that I told you about. We also have the Australian Embassy, Australian Aid. We have different, and the Caribbean Development Bank, IDB. All these entities, they do have development projects that they design for groups in developing countries. The issue has been that I've noted many times the call for proposals come out at a time that people are not aware of, and by the time the deadline has passed, that's when groups are being mobilized. So what I have decided to do with my group, the group that I mentioned earlier, the team that I'm putting together, we are informing community groups. For example, you mentioned YADLIT. We are informing community groups in advance because we get information regarding which entities are putting out calls for proposals. This time around, it's the United Nations Development Program, GFSGP. Their calls for proposal will be right here due this October 30th. So I got groups, I contacted all the groups that I know of in this area, because we want to make sure that we give our people the opportunities to capitalize on these funding that's coming in. So I'm looking at several groups in Punta Gorda and surrounding areas. About 6 groups so far have joined in, and that's a good thing. So we're trying to push this agenda where we become more self-sufficient, more independent, right? That's what it's all about. Like I mentioned, the thematic areas, the focal areas for these groups, for these projects, is we're looking at agriculture as one of the main ones. Another big one is entrepreneurship, capacity building, because you can give someone all the resources in the world, but if you don't develop that person's capacity mentally, because it's going to be a struggle, and if you don't improve that person's ability in terms of financial literacy, because when the money starts coming in, that person will need to know how to budget, we have to reinvest, and what to go and do all over again. So we don't want to have individuals be equipped with all this material and resources when the mind is not at the right place and when they're not prepared, right? It comes with a whole preparation, guys. It's more mindset than anything else. So we start off by preparing the groups to be fully aware of the challenge that lies ahead. What also happens, we prefer working with groups that have already shown some form of commitment, as opposed to a group that just set up just to get the funding. Why? Because if you haven't shown that you have put in the work, we question your motive and your commitment down the road, right? Nothing like that person who has shown you, see, this is what I've done. Look at what I've done, and then you come in and give that extra push so that they can get over the hump, right? So most groups that I'm working with have shown or demonstrated some level of commitment. That's what we're looking for, because in the long run, guys, it's going to take a lot of commitment to get these groups off the ground. So we're looking for that first and foremost, and then we get the support.
Yes, sir. My question for that would be, if it's okay, is you mentioned a level of commitment that is required of the groups. Yeah. By that, would you say a simple business plan, or to show that they've been in business for X amount of years, or what exactly in terms of commitment are you looking for in terms from the groups?
The business plan is a good thing, but what we want to see is work on the ground, right? So, for example, you would say, I have a business plan, but this is what I've done so far. And then I could say, oh, yes, man, definitely you are prepared because you already showed that you put in the work. Yes, you've done something. So I appeal to all groups, like you mentioned, Mr. Tariq, earlier. I appeal to all groups. Don't wait for someone to come and give you anything. Start preparing yourselves. So when the help comes, you will be ready for it. You'll be ready for it. And it's a mindset, like I said, it starts in the mind. This thing about poverty is a state of mind that is so true. It's what you think that will determine your way forward, right? So when people talk about poor and I can't do it because I'm poor, that's a mindset. Yeah. And if you give that person all the resources in the world and that person has a poverty mindset, the person will go back to square one, right? So that's what I'm urging all my students to step out and start the process, do the work, master your craft, whatever your craft is. I am one of those individuals who believe that every single student in that classroom has a specific skill or talent that if they master it, they could become one of the top in the industry.
Yes, sir.
I keep telling them that. I tell them, don't try to follow everyone else. If you have this skill or talent, you will know what it is. You can master that craft. Work on it, put in your 10,000 hours. That's the theory that they say to master a particular skill or a gift. Yeah. And you will see your way. You might not get the support initially because people will doubt you, people will challenge you, discourage you. But if you have that passion and you have that drive to get it done, the day will come when you'll break through. So my main thing is, guys, besides the actual funding, I tell my students, get your mind right first. The mind is where it begins, because the funding will come. Yeah. But what will you do when you get all this money but you're not prepared to handle what comes with it? Yeah. Right? That's what happens to many of the groups that I've worked with. Yeah.
Well said, Mr. Glen. Okay, well, we will take another commercial break and we'll be right back with more unfinished business.
Excellent.
Stay on the grind, 27/9, not 24/7, that are not enough time. Put in overtime, me I forget mine. Never thief nobody, me mother say feel no crime. Cause life is hard, have to work hard. The money now make it to just sit down in a yard and I cry time hard. Have to grind hard, jump in our studio, I rhyme hard.
Alright, I'm your IT geek here in Punta, Gorda, specialized in computer repairs, both desktops and laptops. So if you're having issue with your computers and that's something that you can solve, then you can always get here to me in the Indianville area on Bollywood Street. If it's a virus issue, spyware issue, computer not wanting to start up, laptop running slow, these are some of the issues that I can fix, right? So you can see me in the evening times. I'm normally available from 2 p.m. up until 9 p.m. in the evening, every evening, and on Saturdays and Sundays. I also specialize in information technology consulting. I can help you get that idea off the ground as it pertains to information technology and your company, whether it be planning a website or just setting up a security system or just wanting to learn more for you to help to improve your business. These are just some of the services that I can offer. Also, we specialize in networking, both long-range networking and close-range networking, both wired and wireless networking, by utilizing some of the best devices in the industry, right? Purchased right here in Belize. And so if you're looking to push that internet from one office location to the other, I can do that using my long-range wireless equipment. And if you're just looking to get your home wired and want to share internet or share some data within the home, I can do that using a local area network. And most of the devices are purchased right here in country, and it's a reliable job that you'll be getting. I also specialize in videography and photography, which kind of is a new area I'm venturing into. But I have my studio set up. You guys might have heard about it. It's called Play Studio, right? And of course, we have done a lot of video work in the community, and also now specializing in photography. If you're looking to put something live on the internet and you need my assistance, this is where I come in. If you just want to take some photos for an event, then I can also assist with that, right? I have my own green screen setup. I have my own studio setup. And of course, we're always ready to serve. You can contact me at 607-8700, and that is also my WhatsApp number, or you at 614-0508. And my email address is mpalma@bapplay.com. And of course, that is my website, bapplay.com. And so if you're also interested in getting a website up, then I can assist you with that.
Viewers and subscribers of Unfinished Business, Play Studios, large Marcel, big brother, thanks for the opportunity, and we're more than grateful. And we also want to encourage the viewers, not only the people of Punta Gorda, but the general believers and people, please reach out to Mr. Glen Enriquez. The man have an innate ability to write proposals. In fact, the man work with the man, you know, an agent for entities across the country. And I don't know if it's so strange reason, man like Michael Jackson or Vibes Cartel, when he drops something that hit, he no miss. So, please take advantage of this. I want to encourage every organized entity, every community we think they could be an organized entity. Organize yourself, get it together, and we can reach out to people like Mr. Enriquez so that we could get more fundings and more NGOs and more community grant aided initiatives taking place in our communities, so that we could fund ourselves, we could feed ourselves, we could take care of ourselves, man.
That's right.
I could just kind of jump in that. Of course I wanted that. Of course, man. Before anything else, I wanted to kind of harp on what Mr. Glen said, and then something you said, but I started Mr. Glen, you know, he's the guest and everything. He said you need to get your mind right. In a recent book I read, Visualization Before You Materialize Something. One of the things that stood out to me from that book was belief precedes reality. So if you believe it hard enough, it can come to pass, but you must believe it. You must visualize that it can happen. You must first have the desire, the passion that it will happen. You must move with intention and expect that it will happen, because the greatest conquest in life is a conquest of the mind. Remember that, a conquest of the mind. If you can conquer your mind, you can conquer anything. Now moving on. So, you had mentioned
the last segment, Mr. Arzu.
Yes, sir.
Anything you want to ask Mr. Glen?
Well, earlier you had mentioned something that really impacted, you know, the course of our conversation, which was the importance of mental health. So that was my question for Mr. Glen. What is your views on that, and what personal initiative you have taken to enhance your mental awareness and your mental health, and the talks you've had with people,
especially in these COVID times?
Yes, these quote-unquote COVID times. Yes, sir.
Very good question. Mental health is something that we're still, as a country, I think people are still trying to get the full understanding of what it's all about. We have people in our communities, and you know this, guys, right here in Punta Gorda, who have actually gone through a lot, and it has affected them. We are also, that's a part of the proposals that I also write for people who have these challenges. We had a discussion earlier where we were talking about people who may not have had the breaks in life, and that weighed heavily on them, causing them to lose their way. So I have some proposals.
This was off camera, by the way.
Yeah, this was off camera earlier, yes. And I have some proposals where incorporated in those proposals, the groups are to actually assist individuals who may have fallen by the wayside. That is another part that I'm including now, because I've seen where we must look after the vulnerable members of our community. And those who are struggling, and especially when it comes to mental health, are very important to us, and we must find a way to incorporate them into our development. So no country or no people will be civilized if they leave those who are vulnerable behind. So I believe that those who have mental health issues should be also assisted. Just like how we assist the at-risk youth, we assist single mothers, we assist children who may have become orphans. In the same way, we need to look at those vulnerable individuals who are suffering from mental health. And also, we must mention this, guys, the substance abuse issues that we're seeing now. It's becoming more prevalent among young people. We're looking at alcoholism. We're seeing the numbers going up, people who are becoming alcoholics, partly due to the stress. I believe that this pandemic has really brought some stress on some people and their families. So you're seeing more people drinking heavily now. Some have actually, sad to say, they have transitioned to harder substances. And this pandemic has really broken down some individuals and their homes. So the proposals some of the proposals I'm writing right now are also addressing those issues. Very important, guys. We can't leave behind the vulnerable members of our community. Yeah.
It's true. Very true, sir.
Definitely.
Want to interject,
I believe
Mr.
we have like 2 more minutes, or a minute and a half, I believe. Mr. Enriquez, any parting words for the viewers of Unfinished Business, and any contact information you're willing to divulge so that the people could reach out to you in case they're willing to get a proposal done and what's not?
Yes, certainly. First, I'd like to start off with my UB students, those who graduated yesterday, and those who are still in school, right? Those students who are in school now. I'd like to encourage you to, from this point, those of you who are in school, find out what that special skill or talent that you have. And please don't hesitate to master that craft. It will take you much further than if you just have an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree. My thing is, we should all seek to empower ourselves, and we always have to push to the highest level we can possibly reach. Now, my contact number for those who are interested in getting advice when it comes to community projects, 615-1577, or you can contact me via my email address, genriquez@ub.edu.bz. We're here to support you. It's not about money, guys, it's about empowerment, right? So when our people are empowered, then everybody will benefit. And like I said, I always tell my students this: when you finally believe you have arrived, please look back and see who you can pull across with you. There are some students who are not fortunate. Out of the students who graduate from high school, 16% advance to tertiary level right away. What happened to the 84%? Where are they? Right? They won't be able to get into the system right away. So it is up to us, those of you who have made it, to reach out to someone who may have fallen by the wayside and help that brother or sister up. Let us always remember to be very mindful of that when it comes to helping those who are not as fortunate as ourselves. That's it, gentlemen.
There you have it. That was a beautiful finishing touch by Mr. Glen Enriquez. We will now ask Mr. Rashid Arzu to give us a parting message.
Well, first and foremost, you want to give thanks to the big man upstairs, God, not for making this happen, and for having Mr. Glen come and give us such insightful words to inspire us and to push ourselves to always be better and to push our people, because at the end of the day, it's bigger than just you, the individual. It's about people and empowerment. So I want to thank him for that. And also I want to give a special shout out to the co-host, Mr. Aveles, for completing his degree. That is not an easy task. And he's always been an individual who has encouraged you to always push yourself and be your best self. And by him accomplishing that, working, being a father, having aspiration and goals for himself, and accomplishing this and closing this chapter in his life, it's something to look at and something to highlight. So I just wanted to just big him up for that. And again, thanks, Mr. Glen, for that.
Thanks a lot, my brother.
Yes, man.
Said well.
Yes, man.
Please feel free to tune in to another episode of Unfinished Business as we unravel more information and we divulge into more juicy topics for the people of Punta Gorda and Belize.
And the world.
We out.
Yes, sir.
Stay on the grind. 27/9, not to 24/7, that are not enough time. Put in overtime, me a forget mine. Never thief nobody, me mother say feel no crime. Cause life is hard, have to work hard. The money now make if you just sit down in a yard and a cry time hard. Have to grind hard, jump in our studio, I rhyme hard.